There are among us a people gifted with the perfect memory of all their past lives. They call themselves infinites. On one side, the believers. Against them stand the nihilists.
I knew Antoine had never gotten the shot to do the giant movie. So when I read this script, I thought first of Antoine. And he read it and he called me up immediately. He goes, I don't know how you're going to get them to say yes to this movie, but I want to do it.
The thing that attracted me was because it's such a broad palette. You can go anywhere with this. And that was what was so great with the guys, because we were all on the same page.
It has elements of action and a thriller, so there's this kind of sci-fi element to it that I've never really dabbled into.
At the same time, I think that there are all sorts of elements to it that are really unique and interesting, and things to really get your head around and think about.
For me, though, this was something new. I like the idea with this one that it kind of crosses over in a number of different genres to create its own.
Reading such a high-concept action script that also had so much heart and compassion, I hadn't read anything like it before.
It offered me this gigantic canvas to work on, bigger than anything that I had in the past, because it allowed us to explore characters in their lives, both in the present and in multiple lifetimes in the past.
Fancy myself as having a pretty good imagination and being able to visualize something. And every time I walk onto a set, it's not what I expect. It's 10 times bigger and 10 times cooler.
We had to think skill set, so we had to really kind of like work with the weapons and create moves that you don't normally see would be done with that weapon.
Is it science fiction? Is it real? Is it not real? That was all part of the element very early on, as where we're heading with the film. The whole thing is to have that sense of history, but a little bit of fun with it.
We wanted to create a certain sense of realness and also a sense of extraordinariness. And so Chris's sets both wow you, but they also ground you because they feel and are real.
Antoine's been very conscious that we don't want overly dense, busy imagery. We've been trying to create this sort of subliminal old and new. So we decided that in this campus, these were spaces that there were multiples of, and that's how we've tried to keep that sort of continuity of architecture, but they're all a little bit different.
Here we can study anything and everything. Space, time, scale, it's all relevant.
That was one of the very, very first sets that we tackled, because that's the first time that we introduced the audience to what is this world.
We want to keep some kind of little bit of mystery behind the tech of what the infinites have.
You know, and that's where we decided quite early on that we're going to go into this virtual world. So that then led us everywhere else.
God, holy shit, that felt freaking real.
Well, the regression room, we looked into cutting-edge kind of science stuff for that, of how you can best stimulate through kind of synaptic stimulation of the brain. We've done some 3D hologram stuff in there just to give it that kind of extra level of tech that infinites have, but you know, we put him into this device and this kind of trolley goes around him and we're just going to fire him with lasers.
I can't relax if he keeps zapping me.
Well, there was a lovely kind of collaboration between the production designer, Chris Eagers, and ourselves about this is an enormous set.
It was a tricky one only because we wanted to give it a sense of scale. So we ended up building a quarter of one ring, and on all these bodies, they're in this sort of charged liquid that holds them in this constant state. But we only ever need to see one of them, which was Treadway. So we just shot the whole lot around his one body that comes out of the wall.
A bit like when you buy a Volkswagen, you go and pick it up from Stuttgart, it just goes down in these little lifts and it pops out and it slides out.
And then all we did, we just built all their little hands coming through, but there's no other bodies in there. So it just gives the illusion that they're all the bodies. But that's the fun bit, is you get, everybody walks up there and they go, oh my God, there's all these bodies, you know. But it's always fun, that is.
But the idea with that is then that Garrick talks about how they are trying to download from his cortex, essentially, memories, okay? And we thought a really nice way of doing that was to show them as some kind of a water memory. So we shot a load of motion capture of various treadweight actions, skill sets, and they will appear in this big void, you know, right down the center atrium of this huge structure, as if it's raining and the stuff will appear in there. It can't just be just sticking it on monitors and stuff. It has to be something that's beautiful. Because you don't know whether you're dreaming this or not. This entire film, as Antoine keeps saying, is you're down the rabbit hole now.
It's one thing to read a script, it's another thing to kind of like see hair and makeup and wardrobe, but when you walk onto a set that's meant to be where you live, for me it was kind of a dream. From the Ante room out here, which is vintage musical instruments and different types of erotic art from all over, and you walk down this hallway here into this kind of, it looks like it's out of like a alien movie or something.
He just built a space that was required to do the kind of experiments that he needs to do, and who knows what he does in there.
You're all familiar with the idea that when you die, your life flashes before your eyes, right? This machine enhances that experience.
The regression tank has been built by Props, so they built that. We've actually made the mechanism that slides out, and we've provided, it's called a Titan Fuqua arm, which is like the largest robot arm which is available on the market. And then we have to control it on set on the day, so you know, when Mark gets inside it, we have to operate the slide in, and then Props have built another tank for close-ups so that they can have the water level coming up, and then Mark can adjust the height of the, you know, so it's safe, and he can just move up and down in the water, and it looks as though the water's coming up inside.
It was quite a late decision that one of the rooms in the hub became a weaponry, and we built a huge armory. We ended up putting something like 700 guns in one set. We'd have never got it dressed in time because you have to have licensed employees on site all the time. So the armourers slept in the set, and then we shot it the next day, struck it that evening, and then all the guns went back to their licensed premises.
You come face to face with this, my advice, find a way to die the old-fashioned way.
I think one of the most exciting things about working on this movie is that the ideas of the movie are so big that they're endless. And what that does is it motivates the creative juices for everybody.
Did you see that? And it was how far and how deep do we want to go? Because this thing could take you anywhere.